I work the night shift as a nurse at Greenfield Hospital. One night, my supervisor, Nurse Linda, told me to take care of a patient in room 201. When I walked in, I saw an old man named Mr. James lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. He didn't talk, didn't move much, and just blinked slowly. His file wasn't in the system yet, but I thought it was just a small mistake. All night, I kept checking on him. He never changed positions and barely reacted. I even tried talking to him, but he never answered. When my shift ended, I told the morning nurse, Sarah, about him. She looked at me with wide eyes. "There's no patient in room 201, she said. I thought she was joking, so I went back to check. The bed was empty. The sheets were neat and untouched. There were no records of Mr. James ever being there. Security checked the cameras. They saw me going in and out, but the bed was always empty. I still don't know who I saw that night, but I know one thing. I wasn't alone in that room. Guys, comment your names so I can use them in my upcoming stories."
Storytime de cuando un vato me pasó su diente. ¡Su diente, güey! En pleno beso. Empecemos. Ok, este vato y yo éramos lo que viene siendo como antes de novia, ¿sí me entiendes? O sea, no quedantes, no galanes, no, pero ya había algo muy fuerte. Pero a él lo habían operado de la muelita, de la muela. Le habían dado 3 semanas de reposo después de la operación. Entonces teníamos que esperar para poder darnos un beso, etc. Nos esperamos las 3 semanas, no nos dimos ni medio beso, ni medio nada. Y cuando me dice, oye, ya, luz verde, ya estufas, vete para acá. Y en el momento en el que nos toca ya darnos un beso por fin, después de tanto tiempo, empecé el beso, todo bien, todo perfecto. Hasta que de la nada llegó un tiempo intermedio que empecé a sentir, ¿qué pedo? Sabe a sangre. Yo estaba, Renata, ni de broma, good soup, o sea, no hay manera. ¿Por qué sabría sangre? No sé, se me hizo raro, empecé a sentir como cosita y yo dije como, pero me has sentido, aguanta, pausa, voy al baño. Pero yo nunca pensé que iba a ser su molar. Yo sentía ya rara mi boca, sabía que traía en mi boca, pero no sabía que era un pinche diente, güey. Entonces, evidentemente, ahí afuera no le iba a hacer... Espérame tantito. No, güey, pues me fui al baño, fue a checar, no sé qué, no sé cuánto. Y evidentemente era un puto diente, güey. Era el pinche... O sea, venía como que con un hilito que era... Yo creo que lo que le habían cosido. Venía el hilo y el diente. Yo no sabía qué hacer, güey. O sea, venía el pedacito que le habían arreglado. ¡Espérame! ¡Aguanta! ¡Párame! ¡Aguanta! En ese momento no sabía muy bien qué hacer hasta que dije, nene, hay un Kleenex. Tengo que guardar el premolar de mi vato. Busqué un Kleenex y apliqué la de como cuando guardas un chicle. Ahí lo guardé y dije, lo voy a guardar en mi bolsa para que después ya se lo dé, porque ahorita no sabría cómo decirlo. O sea, ¿cómo llegas y le dices, tengo tu premolar en mi boca? Pues no, güey. Dije, regreso, porque yo no quería sacar el tema de que tenía su diente, güey. Yo dije, regreso y este güey va a sentir que tiene una campana, güey, ahí. Tiene un campanario ahí que le soplaba, güey, que le entraba aire, no sé. El güey nunca me dijo nada. No sé si no sintió, no sé. Yo me acuerdo que era de atrás porque era una muela, no era un diente como tal. Porque de enfrente sí le hubiera dicho, oye, güey, tienes ahí una portería, no más. Hizo largo el día. Yo no supe cómo decirle que tenía el diente. Él no sacaba el tema, así que me fui a mi casa con su diente. Manuel, tengo tu premolar. Like para parte 2.
Storytime de cómo me tuvieron que quitar 3 garrapatas que tenía en el cuerpo y me estaban chupando la sangre. Las tenía ahí metidas, fui al hospital, me las quitaron y todo esto gracias a Prissy Scott. Comparto esta información para que no le pase a más gente porque he tenido en verdad los días más ansiosos de mi vida y ha estado horrible. Pero bueno, yo me enteré de lo que era el Lyme, la enfermedad que le dio a Prissy porque ella lo compartió. Y es una enfermedad que te causan las garrapatas, ¿ok? Esta enfermedad te puede ir bien o puede ser demasiado peligrosa. O sea, que te pique una garrapata es super big deal. Entonces yo fui a Chiapas, o sea, regresé antier y ayer me quitaron las garrapatas. Fui a Chiapas a un hiking de 6 horas, no te das cuenta, o sea, ahorita les voy a enseñar un video. Son minis, pero el punto es que se me pegaron 2 en la pierna y 1 en el pie. Las garrapatas parecen en verdad un mini lunar, o sea, no te das cuenta. Cabe mencionar que todavía después del hiking yo me bañé 3 veces y aún así no se quitaron las garrapatas, pero aún así yo no sabía que las tenía. Entonces llegué a México, le estaba contando a mi hermana de mi hiking y así, y me dijo, oye, ¿qué tienes en la pierna? Y yo de que, ay, y como que trataba de quitarlo y dije como, ay, ¿qué es? Me cayó el 20, me acordé de lo de Pris y Escoto y dije, en la madre traigo una garrapata. Me voy al hospital en ese instante porque te las tienen que quitar expertos y porque las tienen que mandar a analizar para que no tengan esta enfermedad Lyme, que todavía no sé si la tengo, no me han llegado los resultados, apenas van a estudiar todo. Llego al hospital y me dicen, sí, en efecto tienes una garrapata. Ahorita les anexo el video. Me quitan la primera garrapata y me dicen, vamos a checar todo tu cuerpo, y sale la segunda. Me quitan 2 garrapatas. Me voy a mi casa tranquila porque las garrapatas estuvieron en mi cuerpo menos de 24 horas. O sea, había sido un paro, en verdad, Prisi me salvó la vida. Hoy me doy cuenta que tengo una tercera garrapata viva en la pierna que se estaba chupando mi sangre, que no se dio cuenta la doctora. Y me dio un ataque de ansiedad y me la arranqué yo sola. Literal, vean lo asqueroso que estuvo. Eso no se debe hacer, o sea, tienen que ir con expertos para que se las quiten, pero ya la metí en un bote para mandarla a analizar y pues sí, lo comparto porque en verdad han sido días muy ansiosos. No sé si tengo la enfermedad, ha estado horrible, no sé si tengo más garrapatas en el cuerpo. En verdad, cuando vayan a un hiking o si les gustan las actividades de naturaleza, vayan súper bien preparadas, porque yo la verdad sí iba con mis pantalones y con mi manga larga del hiking, pero se me hizo muy fácil ponerme bikinis porque me quería sacar fotos, entonces me cambié y en el momento en el que me puse el bikini se me subieron las garrapatas. Tengan cuidado, va a ser puente y esto no es un juego. Si van a hacer actividades al aire libre, vayan muy bien protegidos y pónganse mucho repelente también.
Don't ever forget that walking away from something so toxic and so unhealthy is so brave, even if you stumble on your way out.
So this guy, his name's Alan, and Alan wants nothing more than for people to think he's all high class and fancy. So then Alan, he becomes a career con man to try and get rich, and he commits a bunch of fraud. And he keeps getting caught, so he's constantly in and out of prison. But then, one day, unfortunately, his father passes away, and Alan, he inherits a fourth of an oil interest. Now, this oil interest will pay him about $25 a month, so it's not much. But he is now technically, officially an oil man. So with that, he starts his own oil company in Texas called Prosper Oil and Gas. And Alan, he's a charismatic guy and he has good marketing skills. And he starts attracting people to invest in his company. And soon the money starts rolling in. And pretty quickly, he's got more than 100 people investing in his oil and gas company. And he's controlling around $7 million of their money. So then he hires a bunch of employees and he starts spending all that money. And he buys himself a mansion and he buys his employees expensive gifts, nice cars and Rolexes. Here's the thing though. Alan just recently got out of prison, so he's technically still on parole, and he's not supposed to open any new checking accounts or credit cards. So then, of course, someone tips off the feds, and they start investigating, and they discover that his oil company, Prosper Oil and Gas, is nothing but a big Ponzi scheme. And poor Alan, he knows the feds are onto him. And he can't be rich and fancy if he goes back to prison. So he meets up with his assistant, who is also his boyfriend. This guy, Cody. And Alan and Cody, they decide to flee. And they take a train from San Antonio all the way to San Francisco. And once he's there in San Fran, Alan, he can't just lay low. He's gotta be fancy. So he immediately starts making money by setting up a new oil company, and he starts collecting new investors. Meanwhile, he and Cody's relationship, it starts breaking down, and they start fighting. And Cody, he's like, F this, and he decides to leave. So he flies back to Texas, and there, the feds meet him at the airport, and he tells them everything about Alan. He snitches. So then, bam, they go and arrest Alan in San Francisco, and he's sentenced to 20 years in prison. But prison isn't gonna stop Alan. He can't be high class and fancy in there, so he starts making plans to escape. And even while he's locked up, bro is still scamming. He sets up a bunch of fake companies and collects more investors, and he cons around $700,000 from people. Now eventually they relocate him from the Texas prison to another facility in Colorado. And at this point, he's been locked up for 6 years. And here's a selfie he posted while in prison. So anyway, Alan's ready to get out and he starts working on his escape. And one day, he jumps into an unattended prison van and he quietly just drives away. And that's it. That's how he escaped. So later, he abandons the van, he rents a U-Haul, and he stops at Walmart and Target to buy a non-prison outfit. And then he heads to Texas. And once he's in Texas, he just disappears. Like he just falls off the map. And there's no record of him after that until about a year or so later, when he turns up in Palm Beach, Florida. And when he first arrives in Palm Beach, he sees all the rich men and women there, and they're dining and they're socializing at their croquet clubs, and they're all just so fancy. And Alan is like, ooh, these are my people. I want to be one of them. So what does he do? He invents a new identity for himself. He changes his name, and he finds himself a younger boyfriend, a shoe salesman, this guy, Kevin. And Kevin, of course, has no idea Alan is an escaped convict. He thinks he's a wealthy oil man. Regardless, they're together one day and they go have lunch at the local croquet club. And that is when they meet this rich older woman. She's a widow, so we'll call her Widow. And Widow is exactly the kind of person Alan needs to win over. And lucky for him, she thinks he's hilarious and charming. And so Widow, she starts inviting Alan and Kevin out to events. And she starts introducing them to her wealthy friends. And soon enough, they all go to a big fundraiser, where Alan, he gets photographed by a local magazine called the Palm Beach Daily. And this magazine features that photo in one of their issues where they're showcasing some of the wealthy people of Palm Beach. And this is a huge deal to Alan because it means that he's finally made it. He's finally an accepted and respected member of this exclusive Palm Beach club. He's finally, officially, all high class and fancy. Until one day, someone, we don't know who, someone who knows Alan and knows he's an escaped convict, they read that magazine that he's featured in, and they see his photo, and they recognize him instantly. And of course, they go and they snitch and they tip off the feds. Like, hey, that guy's not fancy at all. He's a convict. So then the feds, they go to Palm Beach and bam, they arrest Alan. Here's his mugshot. And he gets charged with mail fraud and wire fraud and escaping custody. And he actually hasn't been to trial yet. So as far as I know, he's still waiting in jail for his trial to start. And he's probably feeling, not so fancy anymore.
Okay, I went on a date with the guy who plays in the NFL. I had met him a few months back in LA at a party, and at this party we had exchanged numbers with each other. After that night, he would message me all the time for months, and I would just never reply. I never replied because, as you guys know, I just have bad luck with these people. So then one day I was in this spontaneous mood, so I finally decided to reply. We ended up texting back and forth for a few days, and then he asked me out to dinner, and I had said yes. He told me that he would pick me up for dinner, and I had told him that it was fine, that I would drive myself. And the reason I wanted to drive myself was because if anything went wrong or if I wanted to leave, I can just drive myself home and not have to worry about anything. So then the day to go out to dinner arrives and I'm all dressed up, ready to head out the door. And all of a sudden, I just felt like not going anymore. I don't know if that has ever happened to you where you get ready and then you just don't feel like doing anything. That is what happened to me. After I decided that I wasn't in the mood to go, he had texted me a picture that he was already there waiting for me. I think because of like my past dating experiences, I was just not feeling it and I was kind of scared of what was going to happen, so I just did not show up. The day after we were supposed to have dinner together, he texted me again and he still wanted to take me out to dinner. At this point, I was like, you know what? I already didn't show up to dinner. This guy has been trying to text me, so why not? So I met him at this restaurant and it went really, really well. We were talking, getting along, we were clicking and everything. It was going super well and we actually stayed until the restaurant closed. We were the last ones there just chatting away. The day after that, he had asked to see me again, and because I had such a good time, I was like, sure, why not? So this time he picked me up and he took me to Nobu. The whole time we were at Nobu, we were just talking away, getting to know each other, just having such a good time, laughing, food was good. While we were having dinner, he did lean over a couple of times trying to kiss me, and I kind of just acted like I didn't know what he was doing. I would like turn to the side or kind of laugh or continue the conversation. I was trying not to make it obvious that I didn't want to in that moment. So then we leave the restaurant and we're waiting for his car. And while we're waiting for his car, he was like, oh, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't care, whatever you want to do, I don't mind. Something fun, you know, let's do something fun. And he's like, let's go to the strip club. And I was like, fuck it, let's go to the strip club, I'm down. So we ended up going to the strip club and that's how we spent the rest of our night. So then the day after that, he messaged me again asking to see me, and I was having so much fun with him, I was down. So he picks me up, we went on a hike that morning, and then later that night, we went out to dinner again. While we were at dinner, he had asked me if I wanted to go over to his place. He was like, if you don't want to come, it's fine, but I do have something waiting there for you. And I was like, obviously curious what it was, so I said yes. Once we got to his house, the first thing that he did was give me a tour of his house. And once we got to his kitchen, I had seen his chef there with a table filled of different desserts. It looked so pretty. There was flowers. His chef leaves and we sit at the table. We try all the desserts and we're there for hours just talking, trying all these different desserts. While we were there just hanging out, hours had passed. His friend ended up calling him saying that he needed a ride. So he had asked me if I wanted to go with him to give his friend a ride or wait at his house. And I decided to wait at his house because he told me that he wasn't going to be long. So I was like, I'll just wait here. So he leaves and I sit on the couch just scrolling on my phone. About 10 minutes later, I want to say, he calls me and he was like, hey, change into something comfortable. When I get back, let's watch a movie. And I had told him I didn't bring clothes, you know, because I didn't plan on staying there or anything. And he was like, oh, like, you're right. Like, just go into my closet and grab something to wear so you're comfortable. He also told me I could take my makeup off, freshen up, do whatever I wanted to do. So I go into his closet and I grab just one of his big t-shirts, put it on, and then I go in his bathroom to take my makeup off. That way I'm comfortable. It was already super late. It was like 3 a.m. I go to his sink and I see all these bottles of like face wash and creams. I have super sensitive skin, so I didn't want to use anything that would break me out. So I was looking up what these products were and if they were safe for my skin. And one of the products, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, it was called imiquimod or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but I looked it up and it said that it's used to treat genital warts. And that scared me right there. I did get scared, so I just changed into my clothes and I left.
That night I got a girl's number.
You asked for her number.
I got her number, yes.
I'm sick right now.
I only ever did funny mushrooms once and it was a pretty bad experience, so let me tell you about it. I had a free house, but it wasn't my house. I was dog sitting when the people were away. So obviously I invited my ex over, and it was the really shitty ex. If you've seen my other story times, you'll know which one I'm talking about. But he brought them over, the mushrooms, and I wasn't going to do any at first because I thought I have school the next day. I can't. Spoiler, I didn't go to school the next day because of everything that happened. So I do it. It's like 11 p.m. and I just eat it like straight up. It wasn't in a sandwich. It wasn't in tea or anything like other people do it. I just ate it like straight up with him, and he's already done it like a bunch of times before, so he was fine. And then I start like coming up, and you know that funny like warm feeling you get when you're coming up? That made me feel really sick. So I did start throwing up into the toilet, and I was throwing up for like a good half an hour before I looked up and everything was like fine, like moving, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna be happy now, because honestly I've taken tabs before this and I do like the whole psychedelic experience, but the whole like everything moving and spinning just made my head spin, and I was thrown up again even more. So my ex was in the other room at this like point because he was tripping and he kept laughing at me, so I didn't want him to like look at me when I'm throwing up. And then I start like
crying my eyes out, literally just sitting on the bathroom floor, bawling. My ex comes in because he can hear me crying, and he's like, oh, it's okay, it's okay. I go into bed because I want to like calm down from feeling sick and stuff. And I was wearing a long top and underwear, and my ex thought it would be a good idea to just take a picture of my and just post it on his story on Snap. And I didn't see him taking the picture, but then I was on my phone and I was looking through stories and I saw it and I was like, and I start bawling again, and he's like, oh, you didn't want me to post that. I was like, obviously not. And honestly, I'm actually like bawling. I've never cried so hard. It just made me so emotional. And then he's like, no, I need to, like, you need to eat something. So we go into the kitchen, but the only food I have was like this microwavable pasta. So that made me feel even more sick. Like I wasn't sick anymore, but I didn't eat the pasta because it made me feel even more sick. And it was like the bacon and chicken one, like ew. And then the dog I was babysitting, she just looked really sad. Like in my eyes, she hated me. I was like, she looks so sad. I'm gonna feed her. I was trying to feed her like ham from the fridge, but she wasn't trying to eat anything. So that made me cry even more. And I just thought everyone hated me. And the dog hated me, the dog was sad, and then I went to bed, tried to sleep, couldn't fall asleep, and then didn't go to school the next day, and that was it.